Well, now that the Ellen show is officially coming to an end, we thought it would be fun to look back at all the wild, awkwardly painful moments that Ellen had over her 19 years on the show. Although there have been a handful of situations where viewers at home were like, oh boy. I had to narrow down this list to 10, but that doesn't mean I don't want to hear your favorite awkward Ellen moments in the comments down below. Today on IO, we're counting down the top 10 times Ellen DeGeneres gave a secondhand embarrassment. You know it's going to be a spicy one, which is why they got Pepper in the house. So smash that like button and let's turn up the heat. Let's go. Starting us off at number 10, Dakota Johnson. Now, this is hands down one of the most notorious Ellen interviews out there simply because it was just painfully awkward. Starting things off, Ellen wishes Dakota a happy 30th birthday and then asks how the party was, reminding her that she wasn't invited. Johnson quickly jumps in saying, I quote, actually no, that's not true, Ellen, you were invited, before explaining to Ellen what had actually happened. As for Johnson, the last time she was on the show, Ellen gave her a hard time for not inviting the daytime show host to her last party. However, Dakota didn't invite Ellen because she was under the impression that Ellen didn't like her. With that being said, Johnson then tells Ellen that she did end up inviting her to the party, but Ellen was a no-show. Ellen denied that she was ever invited until admitting she forgot and made a joke about the whole situation. It was such a foot-in-the-mouth scenario, I can't even begin to tell you. Johnson tells Ellen, I quote, but I did invite you and you didn't come, to which Ellen, appearing genuinely surprised, replies, this time you invited me? Are you sure? I don't think so. Johnson doubled down with, ask anybody, ask Jonathan, your producer. Then when Ellen asked around why she didn't go, someone off screen told her she was out of town. Her reply, oh yeah, I had that thing. Oh boy. Moving on to number 9, Wanda Sykes. Now, in our list of people who should replace Ellen, I actually included Wanda because I think she's hilarious. She'd make a great daytime host, but instead they went with the first winner of American Idol. That's who is now hosting a daytime show. A singer. And I'm honestly, guys, I'm not even trying to insult Kelly Clarkson. More so just, like, crazy how this industry really shakes out, you know what I mean? I know she had her own daytime show for a while, so it makes sense, but how did she go from American Idol to taking over Ellen? Jeez. So back to Wanda. So while on the Ellen show, Wanda brought up a tour that Ellen had recently gone on, although it wasn't really all that much of a tour. Either way, Ellen denied she ever toured, claiming she'd remember if she did. That's when Wanda pulled out the official merchandise from the tour, a sweater reading the Ellen DeGeneres Relatable Tour. Real relatable, Ellen. However, given that there's only 4 dates, Sykes took the opportunity to poke fun at Ellen, telling her 4 shows would be a regular weekend on her schedule. On top of that, 3 of the 4 venues were cities in California, which further proved this wasn't much of a tour at all. Awkward. Now at number 8, Hassan Minhaj. I think we've all come to learn a golden rule in life is when you mispronounce someone's name and they correct you, you don't correct them back. It's like if someone calls me Bronstein, it's Steen. So if someone said, hey Bronstein, and I said it's Bronstein, they wouldn't say, no, it's Stein. But that's exactly what Ellen did, and when I tell you, it was one of the most uncomfortable situations on TV. Oh boy. When the interview started, she said Minhaj's name incorrectly, to which he said no, and she literally said yes. And then he replied again no, to which Ellen replied, really? He would go on to explain how he wanted to address this on national TV because people have often gotten his name wrong and he wanted to take the opportunity to teach people how to properly pronounce it. He even joked about the entire situation, explaining, I quote, when I first started doing comedy, people were like, you should change your name. I'm like, I'm not gonna change my name. If you could pronounce Ansel Elgort, you could pronounce Hassan Minhaj. He also touched on this during an episode of his show Patriot Act, responding to an audience member who asked a similar question. Minhaj admitted at first he did change his name to Sean as a stage name, but realized that just wasn't it. I quote him saying, you'll have people who are like, this is my Chinese name, this is my American name. But I'm like, dude, F that, your name's your name. Bringing us to my favorite number 7, Katy Perry. Once upon a time, Katy Perry and her ex-husband, Russell Brand, had a very public relationship. We knew when they got married and of course when they had a very messy breakup. Yet it seems Ellen forgot all about the whole marriage part when the two were playing a custom game of Would You Rather. For the segment of the show, the game was titled Will You Parry Me, leading to Katy making a joke about her previous failed marriage. Asking Ellen, do I have to get married again? The daytime host told Katy she was never married. You don't do that, Ellen. You just don't. Katy then reminds Ellen about her relationship with Russell Brand after Ellen, appearing to generally not remember who she was married to, asked Katy who she tied the knot with in the first place. It was so uncomfortable and Katy made a hand gesture that maybe they could cut the segment from airing, with the singer wrapping up by telling Ellen, I quote, remember you gave me some wedding gifts on the show? Now we're all human, but I mean, how could you forget, someone getting married, especially if you give them a gift on your show? And it's not like Katy and Russell's breakup was under the radar either. It's like this was all very public news, so I don't know. Now to number 6, Justin Timberlake. A good friend of Ellen's, these two love to dance and entertain. When they're seen on air together, it genuinely seems like they're best of friends and enjoy each other's company a lot. With that being said, you'd think if they're such good friends, Ellen would know the words to some of JT's most popular tracks. More specifically, when the song Can't Stop the Feeling was on every radio station, in every supermarket, and playing out of the speakers of every minivan, it seems Ellen just never picked up on the lyrics. When the track first came out, Ellen admitted to her audience and viewers at home that she sent a clip of herself singing along with JT. However, as Justin exposed Ellen, he explained, I quote, my favorite part was when you were like, it's just electric, just electric, just electric. I was like, That's not the words. For those of you who don't know, the lyrics are just imagined 3 times, but apparently Ellen had the electric slide on her mind. Halfway at 5, Mariah Carey. Back in 2008, while Carey was on the Ellen Show, there were tons of rumors that she was pregnant with her husband at the time, Nick Cannon. So to no surprise, Ellen wanted to be the first one to break the news or story on TV before anyone else. Only issue here is, like, some women aren't very comfortable discussing their early months of pregnancy due to the high risk of miscarriage, usually leading to people making their announcements after their first trimester when the risk of any issues is significantly reduced. However, Ellen seemed to forget about that etiquette and instead pushed Carey to answer on air, which she really didn't want to. After trying to change the subject, Ellen would pour 2 glasses of champagne almost to test Carey. At the time, Mariah said, "I can't believe you did this to me, Ellen. This is pure pressure." What Ellen is doing, this is peer pressure. Ellen replied, "Let's toast to you not being pregnant." When the singer took a very small sip, DeGeneres excitedly announced, "You're pregnant." After Carey confirmed the news, she would unfortunately suffer a miscarriage just weeks later. Speaking with Vulture about the aftermath, Mariah explained, I quote, "I was extremely uncomfortable with that moment is all I can say. And I really have had a hard time grappling with the aftermath." Now at number 4, Priyanka Chopra. It seems Ellen has a thing with not responding to people's invitations to celebrations in their lives. So when Nick Jonas, who's a very good friend of Ellen's, as we know the Jonas Brothers have their own bathroom in the studio, regardless, moving on. When he was getting married to Chopra, obviously they invited Ellen, but as you can imagine, she pulled the whole, "oh, I never got an invitation" thing. Here we go again. So of course, the ceremony came up over the course of the interview, in which Priyanka explained it was a very small ceremony. That's when Ellen made note that, as small as it was, she was still surprised that she wasn't invited, given her relationship with Nick. That's when Priyanka explained she was surprised Ellen didn't show up, to which Ellen obviously denied receiving an invitation. Chopra explained, I quote, "I was like, we're not good enough for Ellen." And you could hear Ellen saying there was no invite through a somewhat forced smile. It was like, no, there's no invite. It was so uncomfortable. It's very awkward. It seemed like Nick was being dragged into this between the two of them, and it's just bad. Anyways, could have been all fun, who knows, but Chopra went on to say she spoke with Nick about it. I quote, "She wouldn't come to India. She didn't even respond anymore. Nick, you've had such a great relationship with her. I was very offended for him, but I'm just a wife. I don't know anything." Ellen replied by quoting the "I'm just a wife" while laughing and then changed the subject real quick. It was actually very uncomfortable to watch. It just, I don't know. You could tell, like, this wasn't a good mesh. At number 3, Justin Bieber. A while ago, Bieber was photographed while vacationing in Bora Bora with his on-again, off-again girlfriend at the time, Jade Pierce. For those of you who don't remember, the paparazzi got a full frontal shot of Biebs. Nothing was covering him up. He's wearing absolutely nothing. Fully, exposed. Is that considered stalking? It should be. Is taking photos of someone who is nude in their private residence illegal? Don't believe so, but when you're a celebrity, it seems no rules apply. Both good and bad. So naturally, the photo came up with Ellen asking who the girl in the background was. More specifically, she asks Justin if it's his girlfriend, to which he replies, "No, she's just a friend." Ellen then asks, "You're just naked with your friend?" To which Bieber, clearly embarrassed and now covering his face, calls out Ellen saying, "Why you gotta put me on the spot like this?" It was just such a leave the kid alone moment, but as we know, Ellen loves to push boundaries and make her guests uncomfortable. I guess there's some sort of humor in that, but at the same time, imagine being the guest. Bringing us to number 2, Taylor Swift. You guys remember her? I'm just kidding. Relax. Don't get all mad in the comments. This was a bit of an awkward exchange when Ellen told Taylor Swift about the time she was dating Zac Efron, which she never actually did. The two were on the show together as guests, and Ellen probably just assumed there was something going on there, given that they were both young, rich, famous, and taking over Hollywood. At least it seemed that way at the time, but now Zac's down in Australia living his best life ever. I wish I could too. Irrelevant. Point is, when Ellen made a comment about the two dating, Taylor corrected her with, I quote, "We actually never dated." To which Ellen replied, "Yes, you did." So, moving on. Obviously, she meant it in a fun, lighthearted way, and it got laughs from everyone, Taylor included. But it was still a little awkward, especially when she kept making jokes about how the two did, at one point, date each other. It was one of those jokes that, the first time it worked, but she was beating a dead horse at this point. Wow. That's a very morbid saying. I've never actually said that out loud. That's a very bad saying. Anyways, things went from bad to worse when Ellen started going through a list of men Taylor was potentially with, kind of turning it into a game, which you don't do that. Number 1, Blake Shelton. Shelton is a regular guest on The Ellen Show and appeared on the show in May of 2019 before appearing again as a guest just 7 months later in December of the same year. And the first time around, Ellen poked fun at Blake, giving him a countdown clock for when he'd be asking his girlfriend at the time, Gwen Stefani, to marry him. When Shelton was on the show again in December, Ellen brought up the gag, but Shelton put her on the spot. I quote him saying, "But you didn't give it to me. I walked backstage and somebody back there was like, 'Hey, thanks for being on the show. Could I have that?' And they took it. So I haven't seen it." Time didn't really start ticking at that moment. Whoever your next guest was, you replaced the picture and did the same crap to them and embarrassed them. And he was fully on the money, because Ellen did it to J-Lo, who would actually end up getting engaged, but, well, as we know, that recently fell apart. And there you guys have it for the top 10 times Ellen DeGeneres gave a secondhand embarrassment. Let us know your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. Top 10 interesting facts you didn't know about Elon Musk. Peachy Panda 28 said, "This guy is doing mind-blowing stuff. Holy cow." Yeah, I get it. Like, a lot of people aren't a fan of him. I see a lot of comments being like, he just steals ideas. But I mean, I don't, like, look, I haven't done enough research. From what I understand, he's very smart, he's very innovative. Maybe he gets more credit than where the credit's due, but like, you can't deny that he's doing great things. Maybe you can do whatever you guys want. I don't care what you guys say. Villanelle says, did you guys notice Johnny's face at the beginning? For like a second, it looked like he was gonna sneeze, like a split second. Sorry, I thought it was funny. Love you, Johnny. If we didn't edit these videos and you guys saw everything that's included, I cough, I burp. I never fart. I don't think I've ever farted on camera. Maybe like in a central video, but I've never actually like, I don't get very gassy on camera because I don't even burp that much. I do mess up a lot though, and I get very angry. And they can't show it because I swear a lot. Fluffy Pink Chaos said, I got a challenge for old daddy Musk. Think he'd accept? I'm kind of curious what this challenge is because, you know, what is it? It depends. Maybe I can do it. People don't realize, but like me and Elon Musk, like I'm a little, you know, he's a little wealthier, I'm a little smarter. So that's all I'm gonna say. All right guys, that's all for this one. I've been your host Pepper, and we'll see you soon.